Therapy doesn't work. And I know I shouldn't tell you this because I'm a therapist, but I have to tell you the truth. We could have the best therapist in the world, and it's not gonna help us change. We could read all the self-help books, we could go to the seminars, we could watch the videos, and it isn't really going to make a difference on our thoughts and our feelings and our behaviors unless we put in the work. It's the work in between the therapy sessions. It's the other 23 hours out of the day. It's the other 6 days out of the week that really determine how long we are going to suffer, how quickly we can alleviate those symptoms and get back to a place where we're centered and grounded again. It takes work. There's no magic pill. There's no magic potion. There's no quick fix, and there is no finish line. Everything in life worth having is worth working for, mental health included. We seem to get it that when it comes to starting a business or getting a degree or obtaining financial success, those things take work, and we seem to know that. But with mental health, we have this misconception that you either have it or you don't. The people that have it, they appear like that duck that's just cruising, just floating on the water, just effortless. When really, if you look beneath the surface of the water, the duck's feet are paddling really fast. Maybe those people who appear to have their mental health together are working very hard underneath the surface on their thoughts and their emotional regulation and their behaviors. You see, either we start swimming like that duck, or we're gonna sink into depression, or we'll drift and float towards anxiety. It takes work, and there's no way to get around it. I wish there was, but there isn't. And it can be very uncomfortable, painful even, to put in that type of work, and we're not gonna feel like it. It's so important for us to put in the work even when we don't feel like it, especially when we don't feel like it. We have to discipline ourselves and hold ourselves accountable to rewire and refire our brain. And we can change. I know some people kind of think like, I can't change. Like my grandpa was like this, my father was like this, and I'm gonna be like this, and my kids are gonna be like, it's generational, this is our genetics. But we forget about epigenetics and the way we can influence gene expression and neuroplasticity. But all you have to do is remember that the data supports the fact that we can change if we put in the work. The monkey will get off our back, but we have to let the monkey know, I'm not playing with you, I'm not gonna give up. The therapist can only give us the tools. It's up to us to pick up the tools and say, I'm gonna use this tool every day for the next 90 days. And if it doesn't work, then I'm gonna come back to the therapist and I'm gonna say, I tried this tool and it didn't work for me. Give me more tools. And we never stop picking up those tools and working with those tools until we find the tools that work for us. And then we own those. And it gets easier over time. It's like you have to think, like, how long have we been this way? We might have been this way our whole lives for years and years and years, thinking a certain way, behaving a certain way, having the same emotional reactions, and we're not gonna change overnight. And change takes work, takes time, so we have to be patient with ourselves. Another trick that I've learned that works for me is I don't look at the big picture. When I'm thinking about all that work, journaling, reading, writing, meditating, I don't look at the whole thing. I just look at what's the first thing I have to do. If it's journaling, I'm not thinking about how I have to journal every hour, every night for an hour. All I'm looking at is I need to put the paper and the pen on the table. Just that's it. And then once I get there, then I close my eyes and I start to unpack some of the feelings and thoughts. And then I let those thoughts bleed onto the paper just for a minute, maybe two. And usually after a minute or two, I can keep going. I tell myself I'm just gonna meditate and watch my breath for 30 seconds. And then usually after 30 seconds, I'm like, I can keep going. I just tell myself, I don't tell myself I'm gonna run a 10K. I say I'm just gonna jog to the end of the block. I just put on my shoes and then go for a light jog. I trick myself because usually when I get to the end of the block, I can go another block and another block. Getting started is the hardest part. So we break it down into smaller and smaller and smaller steps so that it seems very manageable. Sometimes we could start slow, and that's okay, as long as we start. So hold yourself accountable. Don't be afraid to put in the work. We will be rewarded on the back end. Yes, it will be uncomfortable now, but you will be rewarded later, as opposed to sitting in our comfort zone now and being rewarded later with pain. We can't escape pain. It's always better to accept it voluntarily on the front end and then be rewarded later than sit in our comfort zone and be rewarded later with pain. So put in the work. Timber approves this message.